What's up, everyone? Mark Bergin providing a quick reaction to the Steelers' 16-14 loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Before we get into today's post-game reaction, today's episode of the Bleav in Steelers show brought to you by betonline.ag. They'll take care of your gambling needs all NFL season long. Head over to the website today. Use our promo code Bleav. That is BLEAV. You can see that on your screen right now to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. Kenny Pickett knocked out in week 14 in the loss to the Baltimore Ravens. And to me, this game was as simple as this. You can look at the success that the Ravens had with their rushing game, with a third string quarterback in the game because Tyler Huntley got knocked out with a concussion of his own. But Mitch Trubisky throwing not one, not two, but three interceptions in Baltimore territory that doomed the Steelers today. When you give up 16 points in an NFL game in 2022, you should win the football game. And you say, well, Mark, the defense didn't do its part and they gave up 215 rushing yards on the ground. Well, the Steelers defense also allowed fewer than 100 passing yards. And I know it's frustrating. The Steelers defense couldn't get off the field at the end of the game. They're allowing 5 yards per carry. But when at different points of the game, the Steelers have the ball in Ravens territory at the 17-yard line, at the 22-yard line, at the 23-yard line, at the 46-yard line, and you come away with no points, it's your own fault. The Steelers 2 of 4 in red zone efficiency, and that's where the interceptions matter. And I mentioned this with Kenny Pickett to say not all interceptions are created equally, but it's the reason why the Steelers lost today. This has happened in 2 games this season where a quarterback comes into the game and throws 3 interceptions. Kenny Pickett subbing in for Mitch Trubisky in week 4 against the Jets. And this Sunday, Mitch Trubisky subbing in for Kenny Pickett in week 14 against the Ravens. Kind of interesting there, but the Steelers don't get it done, and you can put to bed any hopes that the Steelers have for the playoffs. And I warned about it going into today's game. I was optimistic because you knew Lamar Jackson wasn't going to play. And the Steelers had an opportunity today, but ultimately I think this will do them better in the long run, considering the Steelers will get a better draft pick. They need some talent that they just don't have, frankly, right now. You need to get some blue chip players that can help improve this team's chances of winning in 2023 and beyond. And because even if the Steelers were to sneak into the playoffs this year, like last year, they're not going to do anything. They are so limited in what they could do, and they couldn't even stop the Ravens today, a team that is very one-dimensional. I mean, J.K. Dobbins, 120 yards on the ground and a score coming back from a knee injury. Pretty impressive. 120 yards on the ground and knee injury, overcoming the loss of your backup quarterback as well. I thought Ronnie Stanley played really well on the Ravens offensive line, but the Steelers now fall to 5-8, and it's just like with the game, though, to me, you can point to the defense. You lose time of possession, but it's the 3 interceptions that Trubisky threw, and it's where he threw them on the field, because maybe you can settle for a field goal. Now, I know Chris Boswell coming back from his groin injury had one blocked today as well, but maybe even if you get 3, I hate settling for field goals, but even if you get 3 on the 3 possessions where you throw interceptions, you're talking about potentially different outcomes for today's game. And that's the frustration with this Steelers team. That opportunity was there today, and they didn't take advantage. But, turnovers, losing the turnover battle 3-0, missed tackles, missed opportunities. And you want to see, at this point, I want to see growth with Kenny Pickett. Hopefully he can get back onto the field quickly, and hopefully he can clear concussion protocol in time for next week's game against the Carolina Panthers on the road. It's another opportunity for him to get better. But when you give up only 16 points and you lose, I point to the offensive side of the ball in 2022. I don't want to have a meatball take where, 20 years ago, you would have pointed to the defense and said they didn't get it done today. They didn't give the offense one more opportunity. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there because it was the turnovers to me and it was the not taking advantage of field position when you had it for the Steelers. I thought Deontay Johnson played well again, 6 catches, 8 targets, 82 yards. George Pickens, 3 catches, 78 yards, 3 targets. Why is George Pickens only getting 3 targets? Last week he had 2. He pouted on the sidelines. I don't blame him. 3 catches on 3 targets. That's great efficiency for 78 yards. Why not go to him again? Why is George Pickens only getting 3 targets in this offense? It doesn't make any sense. Find creative ways to get him the football in space. He's your best offensive playmaker. And I don't think it's a secret that Deontay Johnson has better chemistry with Mitch Trubisky than he does Kenny Pickett. Something I noticed today, it might not be popular among Steelers fans, but it's something that I noticed where he has a better rapport with Mitch Trubisky than he does Kenny Pickett. Hopefully that can improve. Deontay Johnson still, even despite his 82 yards today, still has not scored a touchdown in the 2022 season. Just more failures of this offense. It's why I've called for Matt Canada's job. I'm not one of these people to say, fire the coach, but you put up 14 points against your rival and you don't have a plan. When Trubisky goes into the game, he scores on his first drive. That's impressive to see, but 14 points isn't going to get it done in 2022. And a defense that only allows 16, a Ravens team with their third string quarterback. It was the NFL debut for the third stringer who came in for Huntley. It was Anthony Brown. It was his NFL debut today. 215 yards, the most the Steelers defense has allowed since the final week of the regular season in 2021. We know the Baltimore Ravens are going to run the football and they're going to run it effectively. We know that. And you still keep it within a one-score game at the end. Your defense can't get a stop when you need to. But really, it's earlier in the game when your offense had plenty of opportunities to score and you're 2 for 4 in red zone efficiency. And you throw 3 interceptions in Baltimore Ravens territory. And this is why we need to see Pickett on the field, because I've seen what I needed to see from Mitch Trubisky, not just this season, but his sample size when he was the Chicago Bears quarterback. And then a year ago when he served as Josh Allen's backup in Buffalo. There's a reason he was available. And it's not that he's not a nice guy. It's not that he can't be a good locker room presence and for Kenny Pickett to learn from. But it's the 3 interceptions that come at times where it's just like you can't throw an interception in that scenario, and you at least got to get 3 on the scoreboard. And going into this game, Kenny Pickett had 4 consecutive games where he hadn't thrown a turnover. You're starting to see that maturity of how to protect the football, the things that you need to do to win football games in this league. Kenny Pickett is starting to demonstrate. And you got to be able to protect him. I understand he was making a play, gets slammed down on the turf by Ravens linebacker Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith, what an acquisition he's been for the Ravens. Coming over from the Bears, intercepting Trubisky today, knocks Kenny Pickett out of the game. And this is a Ravens team that needed to win today's game to make sure that they stay atop the AFC North and that they remain in the playoff conversation. Because when Lamar Jackson comes back, this is a team that's coming for vengeance. Lamar Jackson, remember, in a contract season. I know everyone is very, very high on the Cincinnati Bengals right now. This is a Ravens team. I'm telling you, keep an eye on them. And I know this comes. Lamar Jackson hasn't had playoff success, but I'm just telling you. I'm telling you, they're coming. The Ravens are coming. And when Lamar Jackson, his knee gets right come playoff time, look out for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson in a contract season, he's going to want that Kyler Murray money, that Aaron Rodgers money, that Kirk Cousins money. I mean, name all of the quarterbacks who, oh, by the way, what about their lack of playoff success too? And he didn't even play today. Lamar didn't even play today. But those are things that I noticed. But the red zone efficiency, the Ravens 1 for 3, Steelers 2 for 4 in the red zone. You got to be able to put up points in the red zone, and the Steelers did not do that today. They did not do that today. Baltimore improves to 9-4, and the Ravens end a 4-game losing streak to the Steelers as well. It's a bitter rivalry in the AFC North. And the Steelers aren't going to make the playoffs again now at 5-8. So where do you go from here? What are the things that you look for if you're the Steelers? For me, it's continuing to establish that rapport between Kenny Pickett and George Pickens. How about establishing that rapport when Kenny Pickett gets back onto the field with Deontay Johnson? And can we get him in the paint? Can we get George Pickens more touches? And can we get Deontay Johnson a touchdown this season? We've gone through 14 weeks now where we keep repeating and saying the same things. Steelers running game could not get going today. I'm not going to sugarcoat that either. You had a lot better success running really since the bye week. This was the first week. Steelers ran the ball 20 times, only 65 yards on the ground. That's 3.3 yards per carry. That isn't very good. So you take that away. What's your counter? Mitch Trubisky, you see 270 passing yards. You're like, man, but it's the 3 interceptions. They come at times where you just can't have interceptions. He played loose on that first drive. He comes in, leads the Steelers down for a score. Late in the game, finding Pat Freiermuth in the end zone. The offense couldn't get the ball back. And too little, too late. But it's what happened earlier in the game. The blocked field goal and then 3 interceptions in Ravens territory. And it goes back to what I always say here on the Bleav in Steelers show. Not all interceptions are created equal. Not all interceptions are created equal. And that was evident today. That was evident today. Again, I want to point this out because I cannot underscore this enough. You got the 3 interceptions. At different points in the game, the Steelers had the ball on the Ravens. 17-yard line, the 22-yard line, the 23-yard line, and the 46-yard line. You come away with 0 points. You want to point to, okay, you can't stop a Ravens running game when the third-string quarterbacks is in the game and you know they're going to run the football. I get that. But when you only allow 16 points and you still lose, it goes back to the frustrations of the offense of who do you want to blame? And it's like the Spider-Man meme where everyone's pointing at each other. No, it's your fault. No, it's the offensive line. No, it's the offensive coordinator. Everyone needs to be accountable. And that's why there needs to be some fresh blood on this offense too. And I'm not just talking about rookie players because it is a young offense. It's an offense that I have seen improvement since the bye week. But when you only put up 14 points in a game, you're not going to win very many games. When you only lost 16 points in a game, though, defensively, in 2022, you should win that football game. You should win that football game. Trubisky, again, I mean, I'll say this. With Mitch, I understand he's under contract this season and next. Maybe see what you got in Mason Rudolph. If Kenny Pickett can't go, do you consider starting Mason Rudolph next week? It's just food for thought. I've got to ask it because we've seen what Mitch can do through the first 4 weeks. He started the first 4 games of this season. Do you consider Mason Rudolph, if Kenny Pickett can't go against the Carolina Panthers, would you put Mason Rudolph out there just to see what he's got? You really have nothing to lose. I mean, I know you want to compete until you're eliminated from the playoffs, but the Steelers really would have to win out considering where both the Ravens and the Bengals are in this division. Bengals beat the Browns today too. So if you're not going to make the playoffs, why not spin the tires and see what Mason Rudolph's got one more time? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here of what you would want to see next week because I've seen what I needed to see from Mitch Trubisky. I will say this about Mitch, though. I do like his ability to run the ball a lot more than I do Mason Rudolph. But hopefully Kenny Pickett can get right and we can see him go again because I like the growth and maturation I've seen from Kenny Pickett, and it's the little things. Steelers offense is just a little bit different when he's on the field compared to Trubisky. To me, that's very evident today, and it hasn't always been clean with Kenny Pickett, but he's starting to understand what it takes to play the quarterback position at the NFL level, and that bodes well for him in 2023 and beyond because you weren't going to contend this season even in your wildest dreams, Steelers fans. You weren't going to. So how do you get better every single time you take the field? How do you get better even considering that Matt Canada might not be your offensive coordinator next season? I would not bring him back personally. I know that can stunt the development of a young quarterback, and then he's got to learn a whole new system. But I don't even understand what the argument would be at this point because you can't get it done today. And I know the Ravens have a lot of studs on their defensive side of the ball, and they're all in because they're all in as soon as they make the Roquan Smith trade this season to try to go on that run. Now that Lamar's in the 5th-year option of his rookie deal, it's the last year that the Ravens are going to be able to afford to pay what they're paying Lamar right now because he's going to want probably $50 million a year on a per-year average, probably $50 million a year moving forward. And that helps the Steelers out because then the Ravens can't load up around Lamar Jackson. And Lamar, here's the thing, Lamar didn't even play today. The Steelers entered this game is a 2.5-point favorite. This line opened up at Ravens -1.5. You find out Lamar Jackson's not playing. Something we didn't officially know until this morning, but you look at what the odds market showed you, and you knew that Lamar wasn't going to play. Tyler Huntley gets knocked out, and then the third stringer comes in and beats the Steelers. It's very frustrating. I mean, on the surface, too, you take away all the players and you say the third string rookie quarterback. I've got to look up his name. I'm sorry. And Anthony Brown beats Mitch Trubisky head-to-head today. That's what you look at if you're just looking at it on paper. It's very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. Hopefully Kenny Pickett can get back. We'll see against the Panthers. I want to see how this Panthers line opens up. Carolina will be at home for the Week 15 game. What do you want to see in the remaining weeks with the Steelers? What growth and development do you want to see from players? Because this team is likely not going to the playoffs. And I'll say this too. If Mike Tomlin wants to avoid his first losing season, this is his 16th year as head coach of the Steelers, he's going to have to win out. He's going to have to win out at this point, and that's a tough task. This is a tough task for a team that's won 2 games in a row this season. They entered today's game against the Ravens with a 2-game winning streak, and it was like, man, maybe the Steelers could go on a run and Mike Tomlin could shock us all yet again. It's not going to happen because the cupboard's bare. This team needs more talent. I would argue that the Steelers could make upgrades at every single position other than the outside linebacker position occupied by TJ Watt. And I would also say Minkah Fitzpatrick on the back end of the secondary, his position as a free safety. Other than that, I would make the argument that the Steelers could make upgrades at every single position. And I want you to think about it from this standpoint too, 2023 and beyond. Who on this Steelers team would start for other teams in the NFL? Definitively start to say, no doubt about it, they would be a stud player. It'd be TJ Watt and it'd be Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yes, there are good players. There's Najee, there's Deontay Johnson, there's Pickens, there's Freiermuth. Cam Hayward's a nice player. I actually think that Miles Jack and Devin Bush are having solid seasons. Probably forgetting Alex Highsmith. Love Alex Highsmith. Didn't do much today. Ronnie Stanley played really, really well for the Ravens in his return. Didn't see much of Alex Highsmith today. I love the season he's having overall. Didn't see a lot from him today, though. I'm just being real. So other than TJ Watt and Minkah, I'd argue that you could make upgrades on this Steelers team at every single other position group right now. They need a lot of help. Steelers team needs a lot of help to get better. And how can you put Kenny Pickett in positions to succeed? And today, it was like Mitch Trubisky threw away the opportunities that the Steelers had. And I want to say this too. Deontay Johnson's got to score a touchdown. Only 3 targets for George Pickens. What is the offense doing? For what purpose? 3 catches on 3 targets. That's great efficiency. Prove that the Ravens have to stop him. And then go to your counter. If they double team him or if it's not there, scheme it up to where you can get him the football in space. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm talking in circles here. My name is Mark Bergin. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my post-game reaction, Bleav in Steelers show. Ike Taylor and I will be back later this week, recapping this game, looking ahead to Week 15, Steelers and Panthers. But it's winding down here, and the Steelers are on the outside looking into the playoffs. It is more than a long shot at this point. Steelers would not only need to win out, they'd need some help too, because the best that they can finish is 9-8. But a very frustrating loss to the Baltimore Ravens, a Ravens team that played their 3rd-string quarterback today because Lamar went into this game hurt. Tyler Huntley got knocked out with a concussion of his own, and we'll see about Kenny Pickett, how long he misses potentially. And I want to leave people with this question as well, and please let me know in the comments. If Kenny Pickett can't go against the Carolina Panthers, would you rather see Mitch Trubisky or Mason Rudolph? And that's something Ike and I are going to talk about here on the next episode of the Bleav in Steelers show. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. My name is Mark Bergin. Enjoy the rest of the Week 14 action. Take care. So long, everybody. I'll see you next time.